Hello, dear ones, and welcome to Seasonal Sight. This is a reflective look at the current cosmological astrological season, offered through the lens of temperance. And before we begin, it's important to say this. This is not a forecast, not advice, and not something to follow blindly. Seasonal sight is an invitation for you to use your discernment to notice patterns, tensions, and movements that may be present and to reflect on how you are choosing to meet them. Nothing shared here replaces your own judgment, responsibility, or lived experience. What resonates is yours to keep. What doesn't, you are free to leave behind. Temperance is not about extremes, it's about balance, clarity, and self regulation. So, as you move through this reading, I invite you to stay present, grounded, and discerning, allowing insight to arise without forcing meaning. So, let's begin. So, Pisces season marks the closing chapter of the astrological year. It is the final stretch of the zodiac, the liminal space between what has been and what is about to begin. And every year, this season asks for reflection, surrender, and spiritual integration. Pisces is a mutable water sign associated with intuition, compassion, imagination, and dissolution. It governs the unseen realms, the dreams, the subconscious patterns, our collective emotional body, and the spiritual undercurrents that shape reality. And during this season, we feel more, we remember more, we sense what is ending even before it fully ends. Traditionally, is ruled by Jupiter. In modern astrology, is ruled by Neptune. Pisces carries both expansion and transcendence with it. Jupiter represents growth, wisdom, and faith, the search for meaning beyond the visible world, right? And Neptune represents mysticism, illusion, and the dissolution of boundaries. So together they create a sign that dissolves the ego so that something larger can emerge. Pisces is not only about dreaming, it's also about discernment. When boundaries dissolve, clarity must come from within. And this year, that theme intensifies. Pisces season 2026 opens with a karmic alignment around values, relationships, suggesting that what we love, what we prioritize, and what we believe in are undergoing collective recalibration. It unfolds under the weight of a rare Saturn Neptune conjunction and at the very beginning of Aries. So it's a generational transit that merges dreams with structure and collapses illusions that cannot sustain reality. This is not escapist Pisces energy, it's mature Pisces energy. The deeper meaning of this season lies in integration. We are not being asked to initiate anything new just yet. We are being asked to finish things properly, finish a cycle properly, to review the emotional, relational, and spiritual narratives that shaped the past year, and to release what cannot come forward into the next cycle. So, this season is winter's final breath. It is the ocean pulling us back before the tide shifts, okay? It is the moment where faith must be grounded in reality and vision must prepare for action. This is a season of subtle but profound influence. What unfolds now may not be immediately visible, but it will impact and shape the years ahead. Pisces season teaches that surrender is preparation and that dissolution is not loss, it's just clearing space. Okay, so let's look at the 7 domains of temperance. And we start with the physical axis. And today I'm going to use tarot and the tarot to clarify, and so I'm going to use two different decks. But when we're looking at the physical axis, this is the root chakra domain, right? It rules stability, it rules survival, our money, work, the physical body. So let's see what pops up. Oh, okay. A lot of things. A lot of things reversed. Hmm. Wow. Okay. This is not random. It never is. So, what's coming through strongly this season is that we have been operating in a state of energetic mismanagement, I would say. So, there has been definitely overgiving, overextending, and pouring energy into situations where the exchange has not been equal. Giving and receiving are definitely out of balance, and the body feels it. This can express as fatigue, lack of motivation, irritability, scattered focus. These things are all signs that something has been off in the way energy is circulating within us. Okay, there is misalignment. On a physical level, this looks like daily choices that contradict what we say we value, right? Like saying yes when our body is asking for rest, for example, prioritizing productivity over our well being, and also choosing obligation over alignment. And Pisces season exposes this, asks us whether our routines and material commitments actually reflect the life we want. There may also be instability around finances. There's a lot of pentacles here, but also instability around discipline or leadership over our own physical reality. So either we have been too rigid, trying to control every outcome, or too scattered, avoiding um, structure altogether. So both extremes lead to dysregulation, right? There's suppressed frustration, a constant, we have here the two of pentacles reversed, a constant background pressure to juggle too many responsibilities at once, right? Trying to do everything, all everything, manage everything. And this is no longer sustainable. This is draining us. And yet there is success available because in this bunch of cards that came out reversed, we have Six of Wands upright. And yeah, this is victory, right? But I don't see it coming has public validation. It's more about embodied success, the success that comes from creating consistency, from simplifying life and refining our effort instead of multiplying it. Right? It's like the season will reveal that we have been working hard, but not necessarily effectively. Right? It says like effort is scattered, energy has been divided, um, time has been invested but without return. And this season slows the pace for a reason. If we resist that slowing, we will feel depleted. Okay. And if we accept it, we will be regulated. And I feel the message here for this physical domain is that sustainability matters more than speed. That the body needs safety before it can thrive, right? Stability before it can expand. And this is winter energy still. The foundation is still being corrected, right, beneath the surface. So when the timing is right, and it will be right later in the year, um, it it will have something solid to stand on. Okay, so this is the season to simplify, to reassess where energy is leaking, to look honestly at work, at money, at routines and boundaries, and to restore basic structures that support your well-being, right? Small consistent actions will matter more than just big bursts of productivity. This season is definitely asking for regulation, for balance between giving and receiving. It's asking for alignment between our values and action. And it is reminding us that physical stability is not built through force, but through steady, intentional recalibration, right? And if we honor this now, we will prepare the body and our life for the next cycle to begin. Let's clarify, what are we preparing for? I want to know, right? Do you want to know? I want to know. Ooh, yes, great. That's amazing. Okay, Ace of Wands. Can you see it? Okay. Mhm. Ace of Wands. This is the spark, right? This is the surge of life force. This tells us that the slowdown is not the end of the story, right? It's just the ignition point. So it's a new wave of motivation. It's raw. It's not structured yet, but it's a beginning impulse, right? This suggests that after this period of regulation and simplification of during this Pisces season, there will be a noticeable energy shift. You will feel it. It won't be subtle at all. You will feel like clarity returning to your body, like this waking up and wanting to move again, you know? And this aligns closer to the transition into Aries season when the fire energy returns and initiation becomes natural again, right? Like if the recalibration work of Pisces season is done properly, this ace becomes clean, direct energy. But if the imbalance continues, that spark risks burning out too quickly, right? So Ace of Wands timing is fast. It doesn't linger. It shows up as an opportunity to act, to start, to move, but it requires readiness. So I feel the message here is like Pisces season is about restoring our foundations, and Aries seasons will bring the spark. And the body needs to be regulated to do that, right? It needs to be prepared to be able to carry that fire, this type of fire, right? If the body is still depleted, we'll just feel overwhelmed by this, right? So there is definitely new energy coming, but we must prepare for it. Okay, let's move to the emotional domain of temperance. We shift right now to the center of desire, right? Attachment, attraction, pleasure, emotional flow. And what we have here for this season. Okay, pretty quick. Oh, interesting. Ace of Wands reverse. Okay, so as we just saw on the physical domain, the Ace of Wands upright, right, is a spark of passion, of desire, of creativity. But reverse, that spark turns inward, right? It can feel like um, blocked, delayed, frustrated. And emotionally, this suggests that something wants to ignite, but it hasn't fully found its outlet yet. So during this season, this may show up as what? Hmm. As longing without clear direction, right? Like, I don't know, confusing attraction, feeling like the emotional energy is present, but it's not fully expressed. So, collectively, we may feel more restless. There can be moments of questioning what we actually want in relationships, in intimacy, in creative expression. So, because we're talking about here, like, of the center of pleasure, right? Emotional, the sacral, right? The sacral governs pleasure, but also governs guilt. And when we see the Ace of Wands reversed, there can be a subtle resistance to desire itself. Like we may hesitate to want too much, you know? We may downplay attraction or suppress creative impulses because they might feel inconvenient or impractical. And Pisces season already blurs our boundaries. So when emotional energy rises without structure, this can feel overwhelming, right? So the natural instinct is containing ourselves, right? But suppression and excess are both distortions, right? And here we call for temperance, right? It calls for moderation, not indulging in every impulse blindly, but also not denying desire either, right? The emotional lesson here seems to be about honest acknowledgement. What are we actually wanting? What are we avoiding because it feels too vulnerable to admit, right? There may also be a pattern of emotional stop and start energy, like feeling something intensely, but then pulling back, right? Becoming excited, but then doubting everything. And this can create inner friction. It can feel like something almost begins, but then it's just stalled. This means that the emotional body is also recalibrating, right? Pisces season dissolves illusions. And if we have been chasing something that wasn't really aligned, it will subside. But if we have been ignoring something that is aligned, well, it will patiently wait for us. Don't worry. But this season, we must understand our passion. Okay. The Ace of Wands reversed suggests that emotional ignition may not be external right now. It may be internal awakening instead, like a slow recognition of what excites us, right? Uh, what are our authentic desires? What makes us feel alive and what drains us, right? So, capacity to feel without overwhelm is key. During Pisces energy, our sensitivity is heightened. And if emotional intensity rises too quickly, it can spill over into confusion or escapism. So, moderation matters. Emotionally, this season is about rediscovering the spark in a more grounded way, right? It asks us to reconnect with the desire we feel, but without shame, right? Also, to examine where we have resisted pleasure and where we have been feeling guilty, but sometimes for just feeling joy. So, Pisces season may feel like the tide pulling back emotionally, but underneath that retreat, something is definitely preparing to ignite again, but in a more honest way, more aligned than before, at least. So let me clarify this Ace of Wands. I want to know why this emotional spark feels internal, feels contained. What needs to shift before the emotional flow Well, okay. Yeah. I was like, I got one. I wasn't okay with it. So, okay. Hmm. Uh, okay. This is about inherited patterns. Um, yeah, we have here the Ten of Pentacles reversed, and this says that there is instability around long-term emotional security, and this can relate to family dynamics, generational beliefs about love, or about what stability looks like, or it's supposed to look like. Emotionally, this card reverse often points to the things that we inherited, like expectations around relationships, around commitments, around success, around belonging, things that no longer feel aligned. So there may be a questioning happening, like you may be questioning if you are emotionally investing in structures that don't truly nourish you and support you. And when this card appears reversed in this emotional domain, for me, it suggests that something foundational feels slightly off, feels unsettled. So, and then we have to add to this the Death card reversed. And the Pisces season brings ends, brings endings. Usually dissolves things. It's not really a destructive energy, but if we resist the change, the necessary change, the emotional body can become stagnant. And this confrontation between this Ten of Pentacles and the Death card, it says that something of the emotional frustration we feel may come from holding on to these outdated emotional structures. So we cannot really ignite the new desire while gripping to old uh, things, old security, um, ideal. But then we have the sun. The sun appears. This is powerful. The sun represents like clarity, vitality, truth, illumination. And in this emotional domain, it suggests that honesty is the breakthrough, right? When we allow ourselves to see clearly, without denying, without romanticizing, without fearing, the sun returns, right? The sun says that joy is possible, but it has to be authentic, not performative happiness, not like security for the sake of appearance, not things for the sake of comfort, you know. Clarity will feel like relief. And finally, we have the Ace of Cups reversed. So this often indicates our emotional expression is blocked, like emotional withholding or difficulty allowing vulnerability. There may be a fear of opening up fully, right? Fear of emotional overflow, right? The water's coming out of the cup. Um, or even fear of being disappointed, right? And if we combine this, all of this, with the Ace of Wands reversed, this suggests that both passion and emotional openness, because we have two aces, right? And they're both reversed. This suggests that also passion and emotional openness are currently internalized. So there's energy, but it's not flowing freely um, to the outside yet. So Pisces season is definitely asking us to clear the channel in order for new emotional beginnings to emerge. We must release the old attachments that no longer reflect uh, who we are or no longer nourish us, right? We must allow transformation and choose uh, Clarity over comfort. And this is not like I don't see really this dramatic endings happening, but it's um, more about like honest endings. It's about acknowledging where our emotional security has been built on outdated foundations. It's about allowing grief if necessary, you know? And we have the presence of the sun here that tells us that this work will lead to vitality, right? It's the best, one of the best cards in the deck, right? The emotional heaviness will lift when truth is embraced, right? The blocked creative or romantic energy begins to move once we replace our fear with authenticity. And in Pisces season, in this emotional domain, uh, we can clearly see this is the emotional purification. It's like desire will return. We will open emotionally again, but only after we stop resisting the transformation that is already trying to happen, right? So do not suppress your feelings, but do not drown in them either, right? Let them move, let them change, let them change you. Let them reveal to you what is real. That is a lot of sun, a lot of light, a lot of warmth on the other side of this recalibration. Let's look at the personal domain, which is the center of courage, our confidence, self trust, solar plexus in our authority. Let's see what we have here for this season of Pisces. Okay. We have the Three of Wands reversed and the Eight of Pentacles again reversed. Mm-hmm. Three of Wands upright is expansion, it's vision, it's standing at the horizon, right? Like he is here, knowing that something bigger is ahead. While reversed, it suggests delay, frustration, lack of growth or visible growth, right? You may feel like you've been waiting for progress and it never comes. Like you've done all that you could, but the results haven't caught up yet. So in this domain, this hits our self-esteem directly, right? When growth feels delayed, um, our confidence wavers, right? We start to question ourselves, like, am I doing enough? Am I capable to do this? Am I, did I miscalculate something? Right? This internal pressure can build, especially in a season like Pisces that slows external momentum. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles reversed, and we see the effort. We talked about this before, but here it's in reverse again, pops up again. This is scattered effort. It's lack of focus, it's burnout, right? It indicates that we feel stuck in these repetitive tasks. So these two cards describe a very specific psychological pattern to me. This is like trying hard, but not feeling like it's leading anywhere. And um, this brings frustration and in turn brings self-doubt, right? And in Pisces season, um, slows the visible expansion on purpose. It's not a season designed for outer achievement. It's designed for inner recalibration. But we don't like that. We want results. We want evidence of our competence. So pressure builds, right? And there also be a subtle fear here. I feel fear of failure, yes, but also fear of success because expansion requires visibility. It requires stepping fully into our authority, and If self trust is not stable, both outcomes feel intimidating. It's not only the fear of failure. The reversed Three of Wands can indicate, I don't know, like hesitation to move forward, even when we already know the path, you know? But with this Eight of Pentacles, also there's this avoidance of discipline because it feels overwhelming. So we need courage. We to step out of the ego driven proving something, you know? Because grounded courage means continuing to show up, to adjust strategy without abandoning the vision, allowing delays without internalizing them as personal failure, you know? So this is a season of course correction. If something isn't growing the way you expect, Pisces season invites you to reflect instead of self-criticizing yourself. Just just think, like, are you aligned with what you're building? Is this effort intentional? Is this timeline realistic? And right now the lesson seems to be this, like, expansion may feel paused, but it's not denied, right? We just need adjustment. Nothing is wasted. And this is not a season to prove ourselves, it's a season to refine ourselves. So we know that the courage that we can cultivate right now will matter, because then we have the expansion, right? It does pick up again. It will require a more steady foundation. And Pisces season challenges pride and fear at the same time, right? It just loosens the defenses of our ego so that our authenticity and our authority can emerge. Can you stay committed to your path without proof, immediate proof? That's it. Let's see if we have some advice here, because it's like, why this pressure feels so heavy? And how can we correct it? Mm, okay. Um, the pressure we may be feeling is not necessarily coming from the external circumstances, it's internal pressure. So we have here the Four of Swords reversed, that this is exhaustion that hasn't been fully acknowledged. Like, it can indicate like this restlessness, burnout, difficulty in truly disconnecting. Even when slowing down, the mind may still be racing, right? It's like this nervous system on constant alert. And this shows me that we need rest. We actually, we know we need rest, but we struggle to allow it, right? And in this personal domain, this is significant because inner authority just weakens when our body and our mind are depleted, right? When we are tired, everything feels heavier, right? We have no confidence, no patience, and all these small delays feel catastrophic, right? So Pisces season is already a slower period, but this suggests to me that uh, resistance to rest may be amplifying stress. So you cannot build your courage from a dysregulated state, right? And then we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and this is a neglect of practical self care, right? It's overextending or thinking that we are worthy only because we are useful or productive. This is imbalance in nurturing energy, right? It's either giving too much to others or failing to nurture yourself. And if your sense of value is dependent on the output, then any pause in progress will feel like you're failing personally. So this belief needs to shift, okay? Because then we have the Eight of Swords reversed also. All of them come reversed, these ones. This is powerful because the Eight of Swords upright, right, represents mental entrapment. So we feel stuck, we feel restricted, we feel powerless. But reversed, it suggests that we are aware of this prison. We recognize that we have limitations, but that they are not as solid as they may appear. Like this is telling us that the pressure is partly self imposed, right? The fear of falling behind, the fear of not being good enough, all the fear of making the wrong move, all these narratives can create paralysis. But this shows me that there's a possibility of liberation. You are not as stuck as you think. And then finally, we see the Ace of Pentacles reversed also. So this suggests hesitation around a new opportunity or a practical new beginning. It can indicate overlooking a tangible opening because it doesn't look like a big deal, or doubting that you're ready to move forward. So sometimes we wait for this big breakthrough while ignoring the small, stable beginnings, right? And this is the advice here with all these cards, right? Basically what's being advised here is to first you regulate your nervous system. This mentality that resting is not being lazy, right? It's you need to be strategic on your energy spending. Okay, we regain strength when we're not constantly defending ourselves. Then it's about detaching this idea of being worthy from being productive. Your value is not measured by what you do. So then we have this challenge um, of the mental narratives that say we are trapped or behind, or and these limitations are just assumptions. They're not facts. Okay, so we must be open to modest, realistic beginnings because some of the most stabilizing progress begins softly, begins quietly. And this season is asking us to reset our relationship with effort and authority to build confidence from steadiness, okay? Not urgency at all. And the deeper shift here is moving from pride or fear into courage, right? And then when the fire returns in the next season with Aries, the confidence you carry forward will not be reactive. It will be earned through self trust. Okay. Let me just, I have another question here. I want a clarification. Let's see about the timing of these new beginnings. Oh, beginnings, multiple. What can we know about this? I know we're looking into Pisces season, but I don't know why I'm already wanting to see ahead. Ooh, great. High Priestess. High Priestess. Um, wow. So, yeah, this timing is not external timing, it's internal timing. So, movement in this personal domain will not be triggered by outer events, it will be triggered by inner knowing. So, the high priestess, she operates in cycles, right? She is intuitive, she's subtle, she does not rush, she waits until something feels aligned, right? And in terms of timing, this points to a gradual internal shift instead of something sudden happening. You may not see visible expansion immediately, but you may experience like this click, a moment of clarity, a very subtle sense of being ready. And the frustration, all these delays, the pressure, the self doubt begins to resolve. Not when external circumstances change, but when your perception changes. So indicates that the timing is when you stop forcing, when you stop overthinking, when you allow silence, when you allow intuition to be louder than your anxiety, right? So it can also suggest waiting for more information to resurface. In practical terms, this could mean that clarity around direction or confidence will build slowly during Pisces season, but outward action may have to wait until the Aries season when the fire supports initiation, right? But don't mistake the stillness of the high priestess for stagnation, because there is internal processing happening. There is a lot of recalibration. There is a lot of integration of wisdom. And when we move, when we have to move, it will feel right, right? It won't feel pressured. So do not act because you feel behind, act because you feel ready, right? If you override your intuition now, you'll recreate the same cycle again. If you listen to your intuition, your confidence will rebuild from the inside out. Okay, now we move to the relational domain for Pisces season. This is the domain of the heart, the center of connection, compassion, integrity. Let's see what we have here for this season. This is where, oh, pretty quick. Okay, Nine of Wands reversed as the core energy. So this message is deeply emotional. The Nine of Wands upright is the wounded protector, like it represents resilience, boundaries, and in reverse, in the relational domain, suggests emotional fatigue, suggests that there may be exhaustion from defending ourselves, exhaustion from carrying old grievances, from constantly bracing for disappointment. And Pisces season is dissolving this armor. And when the armor comes down, there's only left vulnerability, right? So collectively, this can manifest as reevaluating long-standing dynamics, a recognition that certain defensive patterns are no longer sustainable. So you cannot maintain connection and constant self-protection at the same time, right? One of them eventually gives way. And this Nine of Wands suggests to me that some relational boundaries may have become too rigid or too weak. Because when we are tired, we either overcompensate by shutting down completely, or we drop boundaries out of fatigue, right? And this, none of these options are balanced. And if we call into temperance in this, in the heart, is about holding strength and openness at the same time. The question here is, can you stay open without abandoning yourself? Can you forgive without erasing your standards? Pisces season heightens compassion, but compassion without boundaries is just self-sacrifice. On the other hand, when we have boundaries but we don't have compassion, it's just isolation. So again, the lesson here is recalibration. I do feel there's grief surfacing here. This is emotional weariness tied to past disappointments that haven't been fully processed. And Pisces energy often brings old emotions back to the surface to be released. Right? So this is a season where emotional honesty matters. If you are tired in a connection, acknowledge it. If there's a need for forgiveness, explore that need consciously. And if you have been overextending, just restore balance to that relationship. Relational integrity means alignment between what you say you value and how you behave. If you value respect, do you enforce respectful boundaries? Right? If you value compassion, for example, are you offering it not only to others but also to yourself? Because our heart doesn't thrive in defense mode forever. It thrives in regulated openness, right? And this season may feel like laying down our shields because constant defense is no longer necessary or no longer sustainable. So it is a season where emotional rigidity will be dissolved. Our relational ego will dissolve. And it will ask us to examine whether our walls are protecting us or isolating us. Okay, let's enter the expressive domain for Pisces season. And here we talk about truth, about communication, about boundaries, discernment. Let's see what we have here. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. We have, well, we start with the Seven Swords reverse. So, trying not to get the reflection on the card. Um, the first theme here is exposure. So, this is hidden truths coming to light, right? It can represent confession, um, awareness, or the realization that avoiding things through silence is no longer sustainable. So, in the domain of expression, this suggests that withholding may have been happening, not this necessarily as a deception, but as a strategy. It's like not saying the full truth, because if we would speak the full truth, it would create discomfort, maybe conflict. It's like, yeah, it's avoiding direct confrontation. So Pisces season has a way of dissolving the masks, and this Seven of Swords reverse says that clarity is catching up. There is also an internal element into this. You may realize where you have been telling yourself a partial story, where you've minimized your needs, where you've rationalized someone else's behavior instead of really understanding how it actually feels. And we have here the Six of Cups reversed. And this card, well, it's related to the past, like old patterns, childhood, nostalgia, something that is emotionally familiar. And reversed, it suggests breaking from outdated narratives. So in communication, this means recognizing how early relational dynamics shape the way you express yourself, right? Perhaps you learned to stay quiet to keep the peace. You learn that um, you learn, for example, to over explain yourself to not be rejected, or you learn to adapt your truth so it wouldn't feel threatening to others. And the Six of Cups indicates growth beyond these patterns, this emotional scripts that are no longer appropriate for who you are now, right? And then we have here again the Nine of Wands, but this time upright. Okay, so this again is like the idea of like guarded communication, protecting yourself, being on alert. Um, It tells me that even as truth rises, there is defensiveness present. So you may want to speak honestly, but you also feel braced for backlash. So when the throat chakra is under stress, often goes back and forth between these two extremes, right? We overshare for emotional overwhelmed, or we clam up completely, right? And this Nine of Wands suggests to me that you may be tired of repeating yourself, of defending yourself, of explaining your boundaries. But then we have Magician reversed. And this is critical. This is misalignment between your intention and your expression. It can represent manipulation, definitely, but more subtly. I think it represents the misuse of your voice. Either underestimating your power or using communication in ways that aren't fully clean. So everything is recalibrating, right? We know Pisces season can blur clarity, emotions are heightened, boundaries are blurred. So the challenge becomes discernment. Not every feeling needs to be spoken immediately, right? And not every silence means suppression. So temperance in this domain asks for the middle path between silence and excess. So truth without harming the other, right? Without being too aggressive. This is a season to clean up your communication, to say what needs to be said, but not from a place of reactivity. You need to speak plainly. Communication is not only expression, it's also a boundary. And during this season, clarity in speech becomes stabilizing. When emotions are fluid, they are grounded, our language also becomes an anchor. The deeper lesson here, I feel, it's to the use of our voice is powerful. So use it intentionally, not to defend your ego, not to control things, but to align your outer words with your inner truth. And that alignment will restore coherence. And that will prepare you for the next cycle where your voice will be very important. Okay. I want some advice here. How can we do this more balanced type of expression? Mm-hmm. Seven of Wands. Uh, okay. Um, Standing our ground, right? Like this is about defending your position, but in the context here of expression of the throat chakra, it's not aggression, it's conviction. Okay, just choose your truth, hold it. Don't over explain. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need anyone's approval. The seven on ones is taking the higher ground, right? This shows here a person standing firm while others are challenging them. And in communication, this means that you may feel resistance when you begin to speak more honestly, and it's not because you're wrong, but because that type of change disrupts established dynamics, right? If you have historically been the peacemaker when you assert a boundary, it can feel confrontational for the people around you because they're not used to that, right? If your tendencies to always stay silent when you start to speak clearly, I'm sure it feels uncomfortable. And when we start to take up our space, when we start to hold our ground, right? Doing that can make us feel like we are exposing ourselves. But the advice here is to stand your ground, remain steady, become anchored, assert yourself, say what is true clearly once, And don't escalate into defending yourself, right? It also suggests to me discernment about what conversations are worth engaging in, right? You don't need to respond to everything, right? Sometimes holding your position quietly is stronger than debating it endlessly. And this is a very important advice, especially during Pisces season, where our emotional energy is heightened and our boundaries are blurred. Because compassion does not require self erasure, right? For us to understand the other, we are not required to agree with the other. And all voices deserve space and presence. So there may be moments in this season where you feel tested, where someone pushes against a boundary you set, where old communication patterns try to pull you back into over explaining or retreating. And this advises consistency. You say what you mean what you say, and then you stand in it. The power of this season in this expressive domain is integrity. When your speech aligns with your values, your nervous system stabilizes, your confidence strengthens. Your voice is not meant to manipulate, to appease, or avoid. It's meant to clarify, and clarity is protection. If you hold that posture steady, calm, firm, you will move through this season with stronger boundaries and a clear sense of self. So I feel here that for many of you, this is connected to love, a love relationship, and a love outcome. So let's see. Yeah, I love it when they just pop out. Okay, we have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is about fate. It's about movement, karmic cycles, turning points. And when it's upright, it signals forward momentum. It signals destiny unfolding naturally, and reversed as it pops up now. Well, it suggests a lot of things, but at least three main things in love: a delay in movement, a repeating pattern, or a resistance to necessary shift or change. In the context of the Pisces season, which we already established as a closing reflective cycle, this makes sense. This is karmic review energy. It usually shows up when we're trying to force something before it's aligned, when we haven't broken a pattern yet, uh, or or that we are meant to learn something before the turn of the wheel happens. So it can also indicate the external circumstances are not yet lining up, even if the feelings are present. And if you try to push this season, you'll likely feel the friction, right? If you allow the cycle to complete naturally, the wheel will turn, but on its own timing. And with everything we've seen about Pisces season until now, karmic alignments, illusions dissolving, all this emotional, mental recalibration, it makes sense that love is not in a fast forward phase, right? It's in a karmic adjustment phase. So I'm just curious to know, is this about a specific person for the people that are watching? Okay, Six of Cups again, but upright. So this is about the past, right? It's and we already had that because we already had a Six of Cups reversed before, but yeah, now it shows up in a upright way. Um this is a person you already know. This is a karmic bond. This is someone you have history with. And with the Wheel of Fortune reversed here, the love outcome is tied to unfinished emotional cycles with someone from the past. This Six of Cups, it's sweet, sentimental, it's innocent. It represents comfort, the memories of the past, right? Uh, but it also can represent staying attached to how something used to feel. And with the Wheel of Fortune here reversed, this is a karmic loop that is still active. Either the cycle didn't fully close, or you're being shown clearly why it needs to close. This can also mean that you can revisit someone, hear from someone, thinking heavily about someone of the past, reflecting on what if scenarios. But the question here is like, are you attached to the person or the feeling they represented? Because Pisces season is dissolving illusion. And this combination says the universe is not blocking love for you, it's asking you to complete a cycle properly. And if the pattern shifts, the wheel turns. If the pattern repeats, the wheel stays stuck. So, the real love outcome here isn't about fate deciding, it's about whether emotional growth has actually happened. Okay, if I want to know, is reconciliation aligned once the cycle completes? I want to know. Now I'm curious. Hmm. Hmm. Page of Cups. Okay. This is not a hard no, but but it's not a full embodied yes either. Like Page of Cups is emotional, someone that is emotionally open. It's definitely someone reaching out gently, someone expressing feelings in a small but very honest way. It can mean a message, a reconnection, a heartfelt conversation. So, yes, reconciliation could be possible once the karmic loop symbolized by the Wheel of Fortune reverse is actually complete. But there's the thing, I won't lie to you. Page of Cups is young energy, is green energy, is tender, it's exploratory. It's not like the King or Queen of Cups. It does not promise stability or long-term things. You know, it promised sincerity and an opening, right? But this means to me that if a reconciliation happens, it would likely begin slowly, softly, like, yeah, an apology, a vulnerable conversation, but not an instant restoration of what was, you know? The Page of Cups here says to me that maturity is required for that shift to happen. So, has emotional growth occurred on both sides? Because the Page of Cups can also represent someone who feels deeply but uh, didn't learn the lesson yet. And if the same emotional pattern remains, the reconciliation would simply restart the same previous cycle, right? If the lesson is integrated, then this card shows something beautiful. It represents a clean slate approach with a lot of humility instead of ego. Pisces season is dissolving illusion and restoring emotional truth. So the Page of Cups fits this theme. It asks for sincerity, no more games, no more pride, no more power struggles. And if reconciliation comes, it will come from vulnerability. So, yes, there is potential, but only on a level of emotional maturity, you're both actually operating from now, not from who you were before. Okay. I just want to know what lesson isn't finished here. What lesson? I love that they just pop up so quickly today. Okay. We have the Eight of Wands. This is movement. This is communication. So this is fast energy. It's momentum. It's messages, urgency. Uh, in love, this can mean like the Eight of Wands in love is like strong chemistry, right? Rapid development. Like sometimes things move so fast that there isn't space to process. Like that's the vibe I'm getting here. Tells us that something about the pace or the communication pattern was misaligned, or things move too quickly without proper emotional grounding, or important conversations were rushed or avoided altogether. There was like the feelings escalated before stability was there. The Eight of Wands is not a bad card, but as an unfinished lesson is the speed may have replaced depth, you know? And as Pisces slows everything down, it dissolves urgency, forces us into reflection. So if the original dynamic was fueled by intensity, by passion, right? This season is teaching the opposite. It's teaching patience, it's teaching maturity. The cycle repeats because the same pace repeats. So you cannot outrun emotional development. It may also point to something that wasn't said, like words that were never fully expressed, or like communication that stopped abruptly. Sometimes the unfinished lesson isn't about being together, it's about finishing the conversation properly. So, this can also indicate learning the difference between chemistry and compatibility. Because fast sparks don't automatically equal long term alignment. The question here is like, can you move at a sustainable pace? Can your communication be intentional? Can you slow down desire long enough to build something real? Because if reconciliation is ever going to work, the speed must change, okay? No more urgency, no more emotionally charged decisions and reactions, no more chasing things for the sake of excitement. The Eight of Wands here, when integrated properly, becomes healthy communication, clear messages, honest expression. Okay? But until that lesson is integrated, the wheel or stalls or repeats. So I don't feel the lesson here is love itself. It's more about the pacing, the communication. It's learning how to let something develop without forcing it. So now we go to the mental domain for Pisces season. This is about our perception, our discernment. Let's see, what do we have for the mental domain for Pisces season, please? What is the message here? Okay, King of Swords reversed. King of Swords, well, upright, it represents rational authority, clear thinking, objectivity. Mm, but reversed, that clarity can tilt to overanalysis, rigid thinking, misinterpretation. Like during the Pisces season, a time where Our emotions are heightened. The King of Swords reverse suggests that the mind may try to compensate for uncertainty by over controlling the narrative. Like, yeah, overthinking, replaying conversations, reading between the lines that may not exist, right? Projecting future outcomes based on fear instead of facts. There may be a tendency to interpret situations through old beliefs. If you already fear abandonment, you may interpret silence as a rejection, for example. And another thing I've said before, right? If you doubt your competence, you will interpret delay as a failure. Another example. So the King of Swords here can uh, also talk about self-criticism, judging yourself too harshly, like demanding certainty where there's none. And Pisces season is not meant to be mentally rigid. It's a season of intuition, of symbolism, right? Of emotional processing. But that doesn't mean abandoning discernment, right? But the danger in this domain is projection. And when we don't have clarity or certainty, the mind usually fills in the gaps. But filling in the gaps is not the same as truth. So the temperance lesson here is about balancing our analysis with trust. We do not need to suppress our intellect, but we do need to question whether our interpretations are rooted in evidence or in fear. If our nervous system is dysregulated, our perception becomes skewed. Everything feels more extreme, more threatening, more urgent. So we are being asked to soften certainty without losing discernment, right? The deeper meaning in this domain is learning to observe your thoughts instead of becoming them. And the King of Swords reverse does not mean you are incapable of achieving clarity. It just means that clarity must be reclaimed consciously. So it requires you slowing down, okay, before jumping into conclusions, right? It requires checking your assumptions. It requires that information reveals itself instead of you forcing interpretation. So this season is asking us to refine our perception, to balance logic with intuition, because when the mind steadies, our third eye opens properly, and when our perception becomes clean, our decisions become simple. I want some advice for this. How can we achieve? Mm-hmm. Seven of Pentacles and Four of Pentacles reversed. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. This is asking us to observe. Not all growth is visible immediately. We already said it throughout this season. And sometimes the mind wants resolution before reality is even ready to provide it. But we have to be patient. So let information unfold over time. Let situations reveal their truth gradually. This can also talk about perspective, right? When you step back far enough, you can see patterns clearer. Up close, everything feels much more urgent. But from a distance, you see timing. And for the Four of Pentacles, we see here, right? This is about releasing mental rigidity, to loosen the grip, to let go of the need to control every outcome mentally. It's like you may be holding on to a belief that no longer serves you, a narrative about how things must happen, like a fear based projection about what will go wrong. So the Four of Pentacles here says that tight mental control creates more anxiety. And the more you attach to a conclusion, the more distorted your perception becomes. So wait, observe, release, trust the process. Stop attaching to certainty, especially important during this spicy season. Clarity won't come through force, it comes through surrender and observation, because this season is dissolving mental frameworks so that we can have a better perspective. What about timing? Let's see. What about timing here? Yep. This is, it won't last forever. It won't last forever. I promise you. Uh, um, uh, we see here like the mental domain is like slow, observational, releasing control, but the chariot comes in and says that this phase is not forever. The chariot is decisive moment. It's forward momentum through willpower, through focus. It represents alignment between intention and action, but it only moves when the internal conflict is resolved. So, in terms of timing here for our mental domain, says that when we have clarity, things will accelerate. Once we settle the overthinking, once we practice patience and we stop wanting certainty, there will be a moment where things just click. So, this tells me that the mental confusion during Pisces season will transition into a decisive direction as we move into Aries energy. Yeah, this requires mental alignment, right? The two opposing forces, instinct, logic, fear, and confidence, they must be harnessed in the same direction. So timing wise, this indicates to me that first comes reflection and release, and then will come clarity, and then will come decisive forward movement. So you don't need to force it. When the time is right, you will feel it. Okay. Once a decision is made, it will stick. There won't be the same doubts or over analysis. You'll know. You'll know. But if you try to push movement while still mentally entangled, you will feel the resistance, definitely. But if you allow Pisces season to do its recalibration work, the shift will feel natural. And we reach the final domain, which is the spiritual domain for Pisces season, the domain of the crown chakra, the connection to something larger than us. What do we have here for this Pisces season? What do we need to know? What is the energy here? Okay. 3 cards. 2 of Swords, 8 of Cups, and the King of Pentacles sideways. Okay, let's start with the 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords, I'm sorry. I forget to put it up. Hope you can see despite the clarity, the reflection of the light. To me, this is talking about inner avoidance, like a refusal, hesitation to fully look at something, right? She's with her eyes closed. Uh, this feels to me like a disconnect between what we feel and what we are willing to acknowledge. Protective neutrality, holding still instead of choosing. And this talks to me about a spiritual crossroads. There is awareness trying to surface, a truth about your path, a realization about what no longer aligns, but part of you may still be bracing, waiting, or postponing the decision. And then we have the Eight of Cups. And this is emotional and spiritual departure. So it's walking away from something that once held meaning, right? But not in like this resentful, uh, angry way. Feels like quiet recognition. It's like it represents to me this maturity, this understanding that growth sometimes requires leaving what is familiar. This can signal a shift in belief systems, like a movement away from what defined you. And with a, yeah, I just don't feel it's like impulsive abandonment. I feel like it's walking away slowly, deliberately. Yeah, it's like when we recognize that if we stay, we will limit our evolution. And then with the King of Pentacles, it came out sideways very clearly. So I will read it like this. Sideways energy suggests transition, right? Not fully stable, not fully unstable. The King of Pentacles represents authority, material mastery, long-term stability. And in this spiritual domain, this speaks to integration, bringing higher awareness down into the lived mundane day-to-day reality. And it's sideways. Sideways suggests that we are between versions of ourselves. We're not yet, we're not anymore who we were, but we are not fully who we are meant to be. And this can feel quite disorienting, right? You may question your purpose, you may question your direction, you may question what security even means to you now. And again, this is recalibration, right? The same theme here. Surrender with discernment. Like, stop pretending neutrality when a decision is already forming within you. Trust that walking away from something misaligned is not failure. Pisces season dissolves illusions, the ego, it exposes where we have outgrown old containers. And spiritually, this may feel like, I don't know, fatigue, like standing in between worlds. But this is sacred territory, remaining open, uh, but not bypassing our humanity is crucial. Spiritual maturity doesn't mean pretending you are unaffected. It means that you are integrating what you've learned without rejecting your lived experience. So trust in the life process. Yeah, it can feel very shaky, and that's normal during endings, right? But endings are not emptiness, they are a preparation. And I feel the message here is to choose surrender consciously, because Pisces season is closing something at the spiritual level. And when Aries season begins, you will not be the same person who entered this cycle. If you've done the work, you'll be clearer, more grounded, and more integrated. As we step back and look at all the seven domains together: physical, emotional, personal, relational, expressive, mental, and spiritual, the tone of Pisces becomes clear, right? This is a season of recalibration, of course correction, of conscious release and preparation. Pisces season is asking you to finish the cycle properly, to notice where you are depleted, where you are guarded, where you are holding on too tightly, and just to surrender, right? Moderation, rest, honesty, and patience are needed, and courage is available. So, the courage to rest, the courage to release, to speak clearly, to admit when something is just complete. And this season teaches that balance is not passive, it's active restraint. It's choosing sustainability over urgency and allowing clarity to form before the movement begins. So, Pisces season prepares the ground. It clears emotional residue. It dissolves illusion. It steadies the nervous system and aligns values with behavior. So, when the next cycle begins, you are ready. And as we come to the end of this seasonal site, I invite you to pause for a moment before moving on. Some things are meant to be held, considered, and integrated slowly. If this reading brought clarity, let it settle. If it brought discomfort, stay curious. Wisdom often reveals itself over time. And remember, temperance is the practice of choosing what truly matters and releasing what no longer resonates as truth. So may this season be one of integration. The action will come. For now, allow the alignment to happen. May you move through it with discernment and responsibility. And thank you for spending this time with me. And I'll see you in the next seasonal site. Much love.